Welcome to Menopause Monday. Today I am going to be talking about phytoestrogens, so plant estrogen. Various people ask me, is there something that you can do naturally to help with perimenopause, so the run up to menopause? Now, perimenopause is, you can have that for several years before you actually start with the menopause. I think I probably was in perimenopause for a good 6 to 8 years before I actually had my one day of being in the menopause, which is 12 months after you've had your last period. And then obviously beyond that, you're postmenopausal. Now, you, depending on the estrogen levels in our bodies, you can have erratic periods, you can have periods that don't arrive and then suddenly they do. You can have your periods close together. For me personally, what happened was this happened to me twice. So I was getting terrible night sweats for years beforehand. I mean, really bad night sweats. And that was pretty much the only thing that was going wrong with me. But then obviously my period stopped for 11 months. And I used to drive down to the south of France or to the north of Spain for our yearly camping holiday. I used to love our camping holiday, but because of, you know, when you're running your own businesses and things like that, and you're packing up, especially when you've got young kids, you know, a lot fell on my shoulders. I'm a single parent. We've got a massive great tent. We take a lot of gear with us. And so naturally, it's quite a stressful time. Well, both times on that drive down, I used to drive about 16 hours on the first day and then probably 6 hours on the second day. My period came back again. I mean, it was completely unexpected. I wasn't prepared. And the most inconvenient time for it to decide to come back again, and that happened 2 years on the trot. So of course that means I'm still in perimenopause. I actually haven't hit menopause yet, because you've got to have 12 months of clear, no period at all, before you can officially call yourself menopausal. So that's my little story about the joys of that. But it can be quite erratic. Generally what happens is obviously our sex hormones decline. Estrogen can be more erratic than progesterone. And it's the estrogen that causes a lot of our sort of mood swings, hot flushes, bad tempers, the sort of anger outbursts, feeling more emotional, more tired, that kind of thing, hot night sweats. That was just awful as far as I was going. But what you can do is eat plant foods or plant-based foods that are high in phytoestrogens, which are high in estrogens made by plants. Basically, they mimic the estrogen that's in our body. They attach to estrogen receptor sites and they can just give us a boost. They can help balance out what's going on in your body. They can make your symptoms less severe. And yeah, they are not just good for our hormonal balance, they're good for our health overall. So you can try and balance out your symptoms a bit by introducing phytoestrogens into your diet. And that's what I want to talk about today, is estrogen-rich foods. Oh, got a dry mouth, nearly tripped up on my lip then. So if you start to add plant-based foods into your diet, it's going to take a couple of months to see a difference. You're not going to see results immediately. So stick with it. Don't think, well, I've eaten broccoli every day this week and I've upped my veggie intake and I'm still not noticing any difference. It does take a little bit of time for it to kick in. 2 months, possibly even 3 months, but stick with it. Veggies in your diet are going to be beneficial in any case. So, you know, stick with it. It is going to help you. It also helps the friendly bacteria in our gut. It makes a difference to how well you feel, how much energy you've got, and also having a healthy gut biome will help you assimilate those phytoestrogens more effectively. So what are those foods that you can eat that are phytoestrogen strong? Well, a lot of them are soya foods, but there's also a lot of soya foods can give you digestive problems. They might cause bloating, they might cause a bit of irritability in your bowel, and you know, there's a lot of pros and cons about soya. The soya that I'm talking about here is the soya that they eat in the Far East, which is a lot of fermented soya. So things like tempeh, natto, miso, those sorts of things are going to help you assimilate the phytoestrogens and, you know, into your body better. Also things like seeds, so sesame seeds, linseeds, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkins, They are excellent sources of protein and fiber, but also phytoestrogens. Now, if you've got, you might eat those because you're constipated, and as a whole seed to help combat constipation, they're fantastic. If you want them for the phytoestrogens, ideally you need to ground them up. Now you can do that yourself, which is the best way to do it if you can, because seeds go rancid very quickly once they've been exposed to oxygen. So in an ideal world, maybe to have a coffee grinder, or if you've got like a small thing that can pulse seeds, use that so you can grind them up before you eat them. Add them to your cereals, add them to your yogurts, you can add them to smoothies, you can add them to home baked cookies, protein bars or protein balls. In fact, I was making a batch of my own homemade protein balls earlier this week, and they are amazing. They are just delicious. In fact, I'll share that recipe with you now. You just go for it. Stick some dates in the blender, some whatever seeds you've got, chia seeds. In mine, I did chia seeds, sesame seeds, a few dates, a couple of dried apricots, fresh blueberries, raw cacao nibs, really dark chocolate cacao nibs, a little bit of Himalayan rock salt. I like to add a dash of chili flakes as well. I drink a daily superfood shake, which has got adaptogen herbs and digestive enzymes and things in it like that. So I added a scoop of that, and that was cafe latte flavor. But if you wanted, I mean, you can use anything. If you have like a chocolate protein, or you might have your own. You could have even put in some dried coffee. I'm not a great fan. I don't really suggest having processed, I don't even know what they call it. What's the coffee in a tin? I don't know, the coffee granules. You could add a few of those to make it more coffee flavored if you want to. But essentially just bung it in, make sure it's quite nice and gloopy, roll it into balls, and then I actually stick it in the deep freeze. They don't freeze solid, but they're lovely when you want to eat them the next day. They will cost you a fraction of what you will pay in the supermarkets. They're super healthy, and they're brilliant to just grab and go. They're absolutely fantastic. So I would make a few protein balls and give those a try. So but essentially you want to be, and I put some oats in as well, and low sugar granola. I remember now. So seeds are a brilliant source of phytoestrogen. So are nuts. Now, again, with nuts are very high in fat, so you don't want to overdo it on nuts. But things like walnuts, also very, very good for our brain health. Brazil nuts, very good source of selenium, but you don't want to be eating more than 5 Brazil nuts a day, because you don't want to be overdoing it on the selenium. But also pistachios and peanuts are great sources of phytoestrogens. So just, have them in moderation, have them as a healthy snack, don't overdo them. Fruits, again, in moderation. Berries are excellent. Like I said, I added the blueberries to those protein balls. I have berries in the morning on my oats. They're lovely. They're an amazing source of antioxidants, which help us nuke free radicals in our body, so they're anti-cancerous as well as our phytoestrogens. I'll go into that in a minute. But yeah, you want fruit is really good for us. Again, just don't overdo it so that you're not spiking your blood sugar. But berries and citrus fruit are excellent sources of phytoestrogens. Peaches, also dry fruit as well. In fact, dates are very high in boron, and boron's very helpful for us during the menopause. So that's why, again, with those protein balls, I always add dates. I mean, I'm a date addict. I just adore dates. But again, they contain boron, which is very beneficial for us. The other source of phytoestrogens are chickpeas and lentils and adzuki beans and things like that. Hummus, although it's quite fattening, is a very easy snack if you pop it on something crunchy or tasty, on cucumber or celery, something like that. And sprouted legumes are even better for us. You can actually soak quite a lot of legumes like lentils, chickpeas, etc., and then put them in a bowl, cover them over with some cling film, put them in like a light place, and they will sprout after a couple of days. So they just need to be damp, and then they will sprout. These little sprouts come out of them, and that makes them even more powerful nutritionally. So we should all be eating more vegetables, dark leafy vegetables, and cruciferous vegetables. Crikey, I need to put my teeth in. Some people ask if you can harm yourself by eating phytoestrogens, because we don't want too much estrogen in our body. And there are types of estrogen which increase your risk of cancer in the body, and there are types of estrogen which do not. 16-hydroxyestrone estrone does, and 2-hydroxyestrone does not. And we need to make sure we have a healthy ratio of these estrogens, and cruciferous vegetables help us improve the ratio in our favor. They decrease the 16-hydroxyestrone and they increase the 2-hydroxyestrone. So the 2-hydroxyestrone is what we want to be getting plenty of. Essentially what happens is cruciferous veggies contain indole 3-carbinol, and that turns into a substance called DIM, D-I-M. And DIM has the capacity to kill cancer cells. It also protects our DNA. It can decrease the blood vessel supply to tumors. It can even slow the spread of cancer cells and decrease tumor growth because of restricting the blood supply through the vessels. You can also get DIM as a health supplement in a health food shop. So, you know, if you want to go and get some cruciferous DIM, just ask your health food shop owner. But there are more and more studies pointing to the fact that if we want to get the benefits from foods, ideally we need to be eating the foods and not relying on supplements. There are all sorts of studies that I've been reading about recently, and really there are no quick fixes. It is what we eat. We are what we eat, and that holds true. So ideally eat the veggies. And I know I don't understand why people don't like eating vegetables. I could really overdose on vegetables. The thing is, they're not designed to be addictive. You know, you have like a cookie and then you think, oh, I might just have another one, and oh, I might just have another one. There are very few people, except for weird people like me, that would go back and say, oh my goodness, I need another leaf of kale, because people aren't addicted to it, because it's not designed to be addictive. Whereas the cookies, the crisps, the crunchy things, the baked things, they're designed. There's probably little men, but there's men in little white coats and little laps hidden away, making our food addictive, which is why it's so hard to get off the crap. But always remember, when you're faced with that dilemma, want a biscuit, you still have complete control over whether you put it in your mouth or not. So many of us eat on autopilot. It's just mindless eating. That's why I try and eat at the table and not watching a film or something, the television, because you're just mindlessly eating and you forget, are you hungry? Because we don't need to eat once we're not hungry anymore. Even if your plate's got stuff on it still, you don't need to eat it. The choice is you continue eating and it goes on your waistline or your bum, or you put it in the bin, or ideally save it for tomorrow and stick it in a sandwich or a soup, or have it cold on a plate. So make sure you're eating plenty of cruciferous vegetables, things like bok choy, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts. We call them fartleberries in our house because they do make you a bit gassy, radish. And I know some people might struggle with cruciferous vegetables, but if that's the case, just eat plenty of veggies. They're also prebiotics. The fiber in the vegetables helps to feed the healthy bacteria, the healthy gut bacteria in our gut, which is so important for our mental health and our overall energy levels and our immune system. Gut health is absolutely crucial. I keep banging on about it. In fact, I've got a couple of links that I will link below this video in the description, in the comments rather, in the description, because gut health, if you're not already on board, you need to be, not just for your menopause, but for your overall health and longevity. Another thing which will have a massive impact on your symptoms, whether you're perimenopausal or postmenopausal, is stress. When our estrogen levels fall in the body, our adrenal glands back up the job of the ovaries, which have gone into retirement. And because we all live very busy lives, we're all quite stressy, especially at the moment because there's so much going on in the world. It's hard to keep that balance. It's hard. We won't live a life that's stress-free. It's about managing our stress effectively. There's a big difference there, because I often hear people say, oh no, just reduce your stress. No, we have to, it's not reducing the stress because it's there. We have to manage our stress more effectively. Things like prioritizing your sleep, not numbing your emotions with comfort eating or alcohol or drugs, taking proactive measures to work out what is causing your stress. Give it some time, just sit and reflect on it. What is causing the stress? Do you actually know what's causing the stress? with the Russia thing at the moment, what about that is causing you the stress? Is it that sense of helplessness? Is it fear? Is it anger? You know, what is it? We tend to hide away from our emotions so much, and we sort of dampen them down and numb them and ignore them. And sometimes it's just acknowledging our emotions makes the biggest difference, because then when we know actually how we feel, we can take an appropriate response to dealing with it. Magnesium also is really important, especially when you're going through the menopause. You don't want to be overdosing on magnesium, but make sure that you're eating a healthy, balanced diet. Then you should get all your magnesium needs. But magnesium is very calming. It helps to settle us. If you're really struggling with anxiety, maybe try a low dose of magnesium supplement and see if that makes you feel any better. Liver function is also very important with helping us manage our hormones and our hormone balance. Things like milk thistle, peppermint, artichoke. I cook with a lot of artichokes, not always the fresh ones. Sometimes they're jarred, sometimes they're tinned. But they're, in fact, I did a lovely dish the other night. I'll just share it with you because it was so simple. It was spinach leaves, wilted in a small amount of butter and coconut oil, with some artichokes. What else did I add? A little bit of garlic. I added garlic, which is another great prebiotic. Garlic's brilliant for our gut health, and a little bit of balsamic vinegar. And I also added a teaspoon of what's that stuff called? It's one of the curry paste. I'll remember it. It's not a curry paste. It's brain fog. I'll remember it at some point, hopefully by the end of the video. If not, I'll add it to the description, to the comments. So yeah, I will link to the healthy gut bacteria videos. And just remember, if you've had antibiotics at all, that will really upset your gut bacteria. Even if you had antibiotics a while back, it can take a long time for the gut to heal from that. When we have healthy levels of the good gut bacteria, it helps us to extract the phytoestrogens from the food, so that you can make good use of them. And then finally, the one I always say, exercise, because it gives us energy. It helps us manage our stress more effectively. So it floods our bodies with feel-good hormones. It improves our circulatory system, which means if our blood is pumping around the body faster, it's getting rid of toxins faster. It's supplying oxygen and nutrients to the cells of our body. It will stop you feeling so sluggish. It will help you sleep better. It will help you feel more energized and more vital. So yeah, make sure you're doing regular exercise. If you can't commit to an exercise plan, just get outside and do some brisk walking, even if it's for just 20 minutes a day. Make sure you take the stairs instead of the lift. Park further away from the supermarket so that you're walking a bit further. We've become so lazy. And yeah, there's always the time. I haven't got time to park far away. We have. It's what we prioritize our time on. We waste so much time in the day. All of us are guilty of it. That when we look after ourselves, when we do the things like I've suggested in today's video, your symptoms will improve. When we take care of ourselves, we get through the menopause more easily. And not everybody, some people will need help with hormone replacement therapy, others won't. Genetics play a role in it too. It's not about them and us. It's not about the natural camp versus the HRT camp or the bioidentical hormone camp. We're all going through it together. We're all women going through the menopause. But I think it's very easy to think, well, I'll go for the quick fix rather than the longer term solution that involves lifestyle change. But lifestyle change is what is going to have you getting older and healthier as you go through life. I had the night sweats, but that's actually before I started doing what I do these days. And I have not had any major problems with the menopause at all. Yeah, I do get some brain fog. I still can't remember that. Tamarind paste. Yes, I knew. God, thank goodness. I thought it began with M. I knew it had an M in it somewhere. Tamarind paste. A lot of people won't have it, so don't worry if you've not got it. But I did add a teaspoon of that. Whew, God, I'm so relieved. But yeah, I do get brain fog, and I've set up systems to make me more productive during the day because I'm very, very busy during the day. But I've chosen to make those choices. I've chosen to make those systems. I've chosen to make sure I prioritize my sleep most of the time. I've chosen to eat healthily and add even more vegetables into my diet. I've chosen to inform myself. There are so many books that you can read out there. The book I'm reading at the moment by Dr. Lisa Mosconi is called Brain Food. It is fascinating. It's all about how food will help us prevent getting dementia and Alzheimer's, but also a lot about gut health and our health overall. So if you're interested to take it a step further and learn a bit more, I highly recommend her book. It's absolutely fantastic. So on that, I will leave you, love you and leave you. Thank you for your time today. If you like this, if you found this helpful, please share it with friends who are in a similar predicament. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already. I put out a Menopause Monday every Monday. And if you've got anything you want me to cover in a future Menopause Monday, send me a message or drop it in the comments. And also be really interested what stood out for you today. What specifically was it that you've taken away from this video? Drop it in the comments below. We really appreciate it. So thanks for your company, and I will catch you soon, and make it a great week.